Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Frank Granito and I'm joined in the studio today by Donald Eng. Don, an exciting weekend. We saw the football team start to separate themselves, and I think we've got an idea of who's going to be left in the playoff picture heading forward now.
Yeah, there's a couple of spots still to be decided and a number of teams still alive for them, but a lot of them need a couple of things to break just right. But yeah, as you mentioned, we have a very good idea of what we're going to be looking at as this playoff picture comes into focus.
And that's the point right there. You talk about teams needing things to break just right. You've now got several teams on the outside looking in who aren't eliminated yet, but will need a lot of help from teams outside the FCAC on Thanksgiving morning. The benefit for these teams, Don, is that most of them are playing against another opponent currently in those top 8.
Yeah, when you have teams ahead of you that are playing each other, you kind of that's optimistic. And also, a lot of these teams are playing other schools that are in the same position they are, specifically, like Greenwich and Staples, schools like that, where you can help yourself out. And so the scenario, while being a bit while you need help, you're likely to get at least some of what you need.
Of course, we will have a full breakdown of this past weekend's football schedule for you coming up later on. We'll have highlights from our game of the week from Tiger Hollow as the Tigers defeated the Greenwich Cardinals on Friday night. But before all of that, we'd like to start with Athlete of the Week here on the HAN Network. And let's read our Week 8 winners, who were Katie Jasminski of the Ridgefield girls soccer team and Matthew Restrepo of the Trumbull boys soccer team. Katie Jasminski scored the only goal in the FCAC championship, lifting the Ridgefield Tigers to a 1-0 win in their second consecutive FCAC title. Jasminski's goal came in the 54th minute off a Grace Franklin free kick. Matthew Restrepo had a goal for Trumbull in the semifinals in a 3-2 win over Danbury. Restrepo also assisted on Trumbull's only goal in the FCAC title game against Greenwich. He was named the tournament MVP for the co-champion Trumbull Eagles. So congratulations to our Week 8 winners of Athlete of the Week. And now as we shift over to Week 9, Don?
I was going to say, those HAM pullovers make a great thing, Thanksgiving impromptu soccer game in the backyard. It's a great thing to pull on.
It looks very, very good. Again, if you have not received your HAM pullover yet and you are an Athlete of the Week winner, please email us or tweet at Nutmeg Sports or HAN.network and we will get that right out to you. Let's take a look at our Week 9 nominees, though. Don, why don't you take us through the females first?
Okay, well, your first nominee is Katie Kushner, New Canaan diver. Katie claimed the CIAC Class L diving championship with a winning score of 447.3 Wednesday at Bulkley High School. Kushner finished second in the FCAC a week earlier. She won the state title by 8 points over Daniel Hand's Noelle Bergera. Your next nominee is Elizabeth Middlebrooks, Ridgefield Volleyball. She put down 32 kills and had 13 service points to lead the Tigers to a 5-set win over the Brian McMahon Senators in an all-FCAC showdown in the CIAC Class LL quarterfinals. Ridgefield won by scores of 17-25, 25-20, 25-16, 23-25, and 15-8. Will face top-seeded Greenwich in the semifinals. Ali Dehana of Wilton Soccer, the sophomore, scored both Wilton goals, including the game winner in the second overtime period to give the Wilton girls soccer team a 2-1 victory over Enfield last Friday in the second round of the Class LL state tournament. And your final nominee, Avery Rice of Trumbull Soccer. The freshman keeper made a handful of dazzling saves to lead the Eagles to a 3-0 win over Darien High on the road in the first round of the Class LL state tournament. Rice's signature save came in the 14th minute. She adjusted to a slow floater and used her left hand to knock it away just before it went into the upper right corner of the net. So congratulations and good luck to all the female nominees for this week's Athlete of the Week.
And for the male nominees, let's start with Drew Fowler, quarterback of the Ridgefield football team. Fowler helped lead the Tigers to a 30-21 victory over the Greenwich Cardinals, which put Ridgefield on the brink of clinching a playoff berth in Class LL. The senior quarterback completed 18 of 32 passes for 270 yards, ran 5 times for another 42 yards, scored on a 15-yard touchdown run, and connected with senior Chris Longo on a 20-yard touchdown pass to seal the Tigers' win. Danbury soccer goalie David Mullen-Thiel, the Hatters goalkeeper, collected 8 saves as Danbury defeated Trumbull 4-2 in an FCAC semifinal rematch to advance to the Class LL semifinals on Saturday. Mullenthiel, the junior, made several huge saves, including 2 sliding saves in the final minutes of the first half to maintain a Hatters lead. Marquise Woods of the Trumbull football team accounted for 3 touchdowns in the Eagles' 48-16 victory over Norwalk. He turned a pass completion into a 57-yard score in the first quarter, ran for a 35-yard touchdown in the second quarter, and finally capped it off with another 60-yard touchdown run in the fourth. And finally, Kristen Frokaj of Norwalk football. Frokaj accounted for all of the Bears' points in a 48-16 loss to Trumbull. He opened the scoring with a 1-yard run and gave Norwalk a 13-6 lead early on, had a 10-yard touchdown pass, and converted on the extra point, and had a 37-yard field goal to give them a 16-13 halftime lead. So those are your 8 nominees for Athlete of the Week. And while Frokaj is not the most anticipated nominee, Don, you got to give credit to a guy who can score via the pass, the run, and then he goes out there and adds the extra point.
Back option for a touchdown reception there. Yeah, that's an all-around day.
Frokaj having a great year. We've seen his name a couple of times, Athlete of the Week. Good to see the junior Marquise Woods have a bounce-back week. He's been quiet this season after many predicted he would be considered one of the best running backs in the entire conference.
Yeah, it's been a little bit quiet. We focused a little bit more on the quarterback play out of Trumbull, but it's definitely big game there. A couple of long runs, so good to see.
Of course, Drew Fowler, a great week. Only his 3rd start all season. His 2nd one since suffering that injury against New Canaan. David Mullenthiel, congratulations to the Danbury Hatters in that great victory in the state quarterfinals, knocking off co-champion Trumbull, who they lost to in the FCX semis.
One more, just one more big effort from Danbury. They've been on a mission all year, and boy, they are so close to reaching the promised land. And particularly, I was just looking at that also with the Danbury soccer, those outstanding orange uniforms.
They look good. They do look good. And of course, it would not be an Athlete of the Week nomination if there was not a Ridgefield girl athlete. Yet again, Elizabeth Middlebrooks this time in the volleyball team. Huge night for the senior captain as they knocked off the Brian McMahon Senators. Those poor Senators just keep finding ways to end up in 5 sets. So much fun getting to cover Brian McMahon this year, and congrats to them on a great season.
Yeah, it's been, congratulations to all the nominees. As we always say, it's hard enough narrowing it down to 4 athletes. Those poor voters having to go with 1.
So those are your Week 9 Athlete of the Week nominees. Of course, you can vote at HAN.network. Don and I are going to take a break here on Nutmeg Sports, but when we get back, we will have highlights and breakdown from Friday's Game of the Week between Greenwich and Ridgefield, right here on the HAN Network.
1, 2, 3, Abby! You know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on! I can push myself way beyond what you think. Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking. To a partner that makes small businesses feel big. Where community comes first. Where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch. Where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver. Where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well. Bank smart. Bank local. Bank well.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
For unique and special holiday gifts, come to Touch of Sedona, a spiritual boutique located in the heart of Ridgefield, Connecticut. We have plenty of unique pieces, including Native American and equestrian jewelry, crystals, candles, incense, and books, as well as an ever-changing showcase of artists, intuitive practitioners, healers, and lots more. Happy holidays from Touch of Sedona, 452 Main Street in Ridgefield. Visit us today. Open 7 days a week.
As you're getting back to your regular schedules, we're excited to get back to doing what we do best, offering you the freshest seasonal fare and all the ingredients for a healthy start to school. So shop Walter Stewart's for everything fresh, from A apples to Z zucchini, and from cotton candy grapes to back to nature all-natural snack bags. We save you time by stocking all of your favorite back-to-school essentials under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
We're back here on the HAN Network with Nutmeg Sports. Frank Granito and Donald Eng in the studio. We were live at Tiger Hollow in Ridgefield on Friday night for our game of the week between the number 7 Greenwich Cardinals and the number 8 Ridgefield Tigers, with a spot in the Class Double-L playoffs on the line. A huge game on a cold and windy night, and the Tigers able to come out on top by a final score of 30-21, sending their seniors off with one more victory at Tiger Hollow. Here's a look at some of the action from Friday night's game.
Tiger Hollow here in Ridgefield as we have veterans out on the field. It is Veterans Day across America and a beautiful rendition of our national anthem.
You're wondering when we're going to see Greg Gatto. Here he is.
Pitch to the left side, heading for the end zone, all the way in. Touchdown, Tigers! And it's Shane Palmer with the first score of the night.
Position. We'll see how he can do tonight against this high-powered Cardinals offense.
3rd and 2, and they go play action, rolling to the right, firing for the end zone. Touchdown, Cardinals!
What a pretty throw by Connor Langen all the way down the corner of the end zone. Langen threw it downfield for a big touchdown.
It's 3rd and 6 from the 13-yard line. They go inside Iobi, bouncing to the right, heading for the goal line. Touchdown, Cardinals!
And even before Iobi got into the end zone, Connor Langen put his hands up in the air. He knew.
It's 1st and 10 now from the 16-yard line. Trips to the right. Fowler gives to Palmer inside, but he is met him. No, Fowler holds onto it, heading for the goal line. Touchdown, Tigers!
How do you like that, Drew Fowler? Little quarterback sneak there.
Timeouts left now, though, as Papadopoulos will finally get to attempt it. Snap, the hold, the kick is up, and it is good! Papadopoulos from 42, and with 5 seconds left, the Tigers have a 3-point lead. They'll go to him again, cutting back to the left, fighting through the line of scrimmage, heading for the goal line. Touchdown, Cardinals!
There it is. Just like I said it, he's huge in the red zone.
Coming in, he gives to Patrick Lang, bouncing off the left side of the line. Touchdown, Tigers!
There he is, the player to watch, Patrick Lang.
4th and 5, punting. It's a fake, and it's an end around, and the Tigers read it all the way. Little B counter play as they tried to free up. That was Kurt Monahan.
A lot of momentum, a lot of confidence.
Gatto will take a knee, and the Tigers have now officially won. Let's take that break we promised you.
A huge win for the Ridgefield Tigers, Don, who are just continuing to roll now after the stumble against Trinity. And you have to think, if Ridgefield had taken care of Trinity, they're arguably the 4th seed, maybe even the 3rd right now, and far and away the hottest team in the state coming off that loss to New Canaan. But they were down early, fought back late in the first half, and then defense won this game for them in the second half.
Well, you know, it's funny because I was watching, just watching this game, and I'm questioning myself because I had picked Ridgefield to win this game. I was confident in the pick, and I was watching the game, and I'm thinking to myself, Ridgefield, to my eye, looks to be the better team. Why aren't they winning? And then, of course, they, they coming back, aided with some. Aided by some calls there. And you're right, we said it last year and we were saying it again this year. If Ridgefield can get into that Class Double-L tournament, they're going to be one of those teams that no one wants to play. And now, barring a setback at Danbury, they're going to be in the tournament probably as the 6th, possibly the 5 seed. And I'm very interested to see how they do against some of these other out-of-conference teams.
And they'll be a heavy favorite when they go into that Thanksgiving game against Danbury. you look at the turning point in this game, and a lot of people will say to you it was at the end of the first half Ridgefield's able to get a stop, kick the long field goal, 42 yards from Pestro.
What a weapon a kicker is on a high school team like that. If someone who can kick from 40 yards, that just can make a huge difference in games also.
It was a big kick. The wind at his back. It was huge, even bigger though, because Ridgefield then takes a 3-point lead into half after they didn't appear to be playing well at all. But the turning point to me was in that third quarter. Greenwich, 3 turnovers on consecutive drives, 2 of them coming inside the 20-yard line after Ridgefield had just gift-wrapped opportunities for them. That was the point that you couldn't come back from, I thought. But then they try the fake field goal from their own 45 on 4th and 4, and it fails. And that allowed Ridgefield to score the final and touchdown that just couldn't be overcome by the Cardinals.
Right, and then you think to yourself, was it Greenwich making mistakes on offense, or was that Ridgefield Tiger defense, which we've been touting all year, really stepping up and making big plays there? So that that really was just a complete turnaround there. Of course, something that Ridgefield's used to, big turnarounds there in the second half.
With the win, Ridgefield now sits in 6th place in Class Double L. Only Danbury left on the schedule, as we said. Greenwich is at 11. They'll need to win against Staples on Thanksgiving, who suffered another tough loss to Darien this week. We expect Greenwich to go in there and be the favorite for that one, Don, but they're still going to need some help from teams in front of them to qualify and jump up into those top 8 spots.
They're going to need help, and they're going to need help from multiple sources, but none of the things Greenwich needs to happen is all that far-fetched, because when you look 1 through 6 is pretty much set. Ridgefield, assuming they take care of business against Danbury, is the 6th seed. So the top 6 teams in Double L appear to be set. But then you have 7, Norwich Free Academy. They still play New London on Thanksgiving. Fairfield Prep has West Haven on Thanksgiving, and Cheshire has that Apple Valley Showdown against Southington on Thanksgiving. All of those teams will probably be underdogs in their games. And then you have Hall at number 10, 1 spot ahead of Greenwich. They play Conard, who has a Class AA school with 5 wins, but I don't expect them to get as many bonus points as Greenwich does, assuming Greenwich can win against Staples. So they need a couple of things to go right, but all of the things they need are probably more likely than not. The catch is they need them all.
That's true. They do need them all. And I think that Hall, Conard, while you expect Hall to be able to take care of Conard, and this is the same for all of the FCAC teams that will be playing, whether it's Ridgefield and Danbury, Staples and Greenwich, you've got Wilton and Trinity. It's a rivalry game. It's a rivalry day. You can throw the numbers, throw the records out the window and expect that we will see tight games across the board. A great one to me that's going to stand out is Ludlow and Ward, because it's a game that a lot of people will say doesn't matter. Ludlow, having lost to Central, won't have a chance. I think with everything surrounding that program, the way this season has gone, that's a team that's going to come in there extra motivated, and we're going to see that through a lot of these teams.
I expect I couldn't agree more. I expect a big effort out of Ludlow. And speaking of big efforts in a rivalry game, we've been breaking down this scenario, assuming Greenwich wins on Thanksgiving. How much would Staples love to be the one that just drives that final nail into the coffin and sends Greenwich home for the season?
Of course, there were 3 FCAC teams that clinched a home game, and at least in the state quarterfinals. Those teams were New Canaan, Darien, and St. Joe's. They will all be in the top 4 of their respective classes. St. Joe's, again, continuing to roll. They are now number 1 in Class M. So Class L, Double L, and M have all got an FCAC team sitting in first place right now, Don. Right,
and of course St. Joe's, and of course, that will change for L or Double L because Darien and New Canaan play each other. One of those teams obviously will lose that game, and then you have St. Joe's with a record of 8-1, sitting atop Class M. They have their intertown rival Trumbull on Thanksgiving Day, so they probably will stay ahead of Valley Regional, Old Lyme, and Hill House with a win. With a loss, they probably could fall as far as 4th or 5th. So certainly going to be in that top kind of half of the bracket.
Well, maybe for the Turkey Bowl this year, since there's no FCAC championship, Darien and New Canaan take a page out of the soccer championships. We go co-champions. They tie the game, and they both get to be first place for the state tournaments.
9-0-1. They split the bonus points.
Exactly. Don, let's take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports, but when we get back, we're going to look at the rest of the games from this past weekend, how they resulted, and look ahead to the Thanksgiving matchups right here on the HAN Network.
This is now 44 years I've been in this business. Digital came along. After I was in business for about 6 years, I had to totally reinvent the business. So I had to make a tremendous investment in my business. And Milford Bank was there for me. I don't really just consider Milford Bank a bank. I consider them a trusted partner in my business. My name is Jim Wilson, owner of Milford Photo. I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. Sign up now for InSports Passing and Receiving Positional November Soccer Clinic, scheduled for November 19th. Sessions are available for U13 to U14, U15 to U16, and U17 to U19. Featuring college coaches from around the region, this is your official home of Connecticut's Olympic Development Soccer Program. For more information, visit insportcenters.com.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter, and I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network. And we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Back on the HAN Network here with Nutmeg Sports, Frank Granito and Donald Eng, as we look at the final week of the regular season for the FCIAC before the bye and then Thanksgiving. Let's start with the two big ones, Don. And first, New Canaan, who rolled over Ludlow 48-6. New Canaan went without a lot of its key players and starters, but obviously not an issue. No one doubted the Rams. I think there were concerns that maybe they would have kept this one closer than people thought, looking ahead towards Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, you know, it's in any of these rivalries, there's always the possibility you have a trap game coming up before the biggest game of the season. And I've been impressed with New Canaan. I mean, because going through the season, we all had Darien number one. I'm not convinced, based on what I've seen this year, that New Canaan's not a little bit better than Darien.
And the big thing too that I think has impressed a lot of people with New Canaan, and I spoke with an FCI coach who said, it's not until you play the Rams that you really appreciate that the freshman Drew Pine is a very good quarterback. And for a first-year player, a young man in that position, he has handled himself so maturely and done a great job just going about his business and doing what the Rams were expected to do, make it to Thanksgiving unbeaten.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, there's the maturity as far as how the way he conducts himself on the field, the decisions he makes in the pocket, and also the physical maturity. You know, big, strong arm, and really been impressive. I thought, you know, okay, we knew going in that he was highly touted, but he's actually been better than I expected.
For Ludlow, 0-9 now. They go to Thanksgiving to play against 2-7 Ward. And again, for a Ludlow team that has just been surrounded by controversy the past few weeks, I think this is a huge opportunity for the Falcons. They've got 9 days to get ready, hit the reset button, and take a shot at your rival. And they are not as outmatched against the Mustangs as many people think. No,
and it's one of those weeks where you say, you know, it's like, okay, guys, you know, whatever happened has happened. We've got one game to go. The seniors have one game to go. You know, it's an all hands on deck, all out effort against the town rival.
You go down, you look, Darien shuts out Staples 27-0. So Darien now 9-0. They get ready. They're going to go and take on the Rams for Thanksgiving. Brian Peters arguably is going to be a first-team all-conference player at quarterback. Finley Collins might be the player of the year for the conference. Andrew Stuber on that line. Court Fox at the DM position. You don't understand how they keep doing it, but Darien just continues to reload across the board. And for the third year in a row now, we're going to have undefeated New Canaan and Darien on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean that's the game everyone's looking forward to. As we mentioned, they're expecting so many people for this game that they're not even selling tickets at the gate. Bringing in auxiliary bleachers and everything like that. It's impossible to overstate just how much hype there is for this game.
And just going to be such a hassle to get tickets to that game. You might as well stay at home, watch online. We'll have full coverage on the HAN Network. Trumbull and Norwalk. Trumbull now 6-3, a 48-16 win over the Bears. Trumbull is not mathematically eliminated from the States yet, but I think that there's just too much that would need to happen. They get St. Joe's. They could play spoilers to the Cadets, though. On Thanksgiving Day, Don.
Yeah, I mean, Trumbull right now is in 15th place in the Class AA standings. The top 8 make it in. Now, a lot of the teams ahead of them are playing each other, and a lot of the other teams, as we mentioned with Greenwich, are mathematically still alive, but underdogs. But Trumbull's going to need a lot more help even than Greenwich does, and since we expect Greenwich to beat Staples on Thanksgiving, it's really going to be a long shot for Trumbull.
And for the Bears, a disappointing season now, sitting at 3-6 before Thanksgiving against McMahon. We talked about the Bears. We thought there was going to be that week where they were going to knock someone off, spoil a season. We didn't think they were quite there yet, but I don't think that anyone on that team will be happy finishing at 3-6. They were a better football team than this.
They really were, and so you look for them to kind of just sort of make their statement this week or next week actually. It'll be against McMahon again. The city rivalry. A big game for both teams. They're both going to come in ready to play.
Danbury falls 28-0 against Wilton. Wilton at 5-3, still in the hunt for Class L. They are not eliminated yet and teetering on getting in, but again, a team needing help, Don.
They're needing help, and also Trinity Catholic is in the same position they are on Thanksgiving. Both of those teams need help to get in, but they have realistic paths to the playoffs if everything breaks just right. The problem for one of them is the Thanksgiving game is going to knock one of them out.
And Trinity Catholic 48-8 over Central. Trinity now 6-3. Don, they were 1-3 just 5 weeks ago, and we sat here and I told you, they can run the table and maybe backdoor in. It was the toughest opening 5-game stretch by far in the conference. They came out of it 2-3 with the huge win over Ridgefield. They've kept themselves in play, but they need a lot of help.
They need a lot of help, and even if they get help, they're likely to come up just short, just because with some of the bonus point scenarios that a lot of the schools ahead of them have. Right now, Trinity Catholic is sitting, I think, 11th. In Class S. And again, they've got realistic possibilities ahead of them as far as teams losing. The problem they're going to run into is bonus points. They're going to get a lot because they've played a predominantly Class L and double L schedule, but it might be just not enough. We'll see what happens on Thanksgiving.
Greenwich could have really used a Stanford upset against Norwich Free Academy, but NFA rolls to a 39-14 win. The NFA team, who's now played against 4 FCX schools, they have that lack of a conference, or better terms, but they've been so featured here, and they're now going to be a team that a lot of FCX schools are watching on Thanksgiving. They will have huge implications on what happens with the Cardinals, where the Tigers ends up, and of course they'll have an impact on whether or not Trumbull can find a way to get in.
Not only that, they'll have an impact on where some of the Class L schools are seated as they play New London. NFA, who would have predicted they would be in this situation after the first couple of weeks of the season? Blown out at Xavier, blown out, at Darien. Outstanding season for NFA.
It's been a great year. They're sitting at 5-2, doing a very, very good job. The last game from the weekend was St. Joe's 19, West Hill 14. St. Joe's now 8-1. Such a great year here for a Cadets team that not many expected to be in the hunt. They're currently first in Class M, and it sets up a huge matchup for the Cadets against Trumbull on Thanksgiving. And while the Cadets have won this game the past few years, Trumbull is going to come in with the intentions of ruining St. Joe's season. It will be a very, very interesting matchup. That is going to do it for this episode of Nutmeg Sports. For Donald Eng, I am Frank Granito. Make sure you check back here tomorrow. We'll have coffee break at 11 and Nutmeg Sports at 2. We'll see you tomorrow.